Hello there, you're live on to have a good conversation with somebody here in Ghana who's making amazing strides and helping our industry and development in so many ways. Yeah. When it's time for personality profile, you know that you need to get a notebook. In this episode in particular, you actually need one. You need a pen and a paper because this man has lots of wisdom to share. He's got lots of nuggets to share. I'm personally looking forward to hearing a bit about his journey and taking notes as well. So, hey, welcome along to that evening where you get to listen to an amazing person on Personality Profile. I'm Lexis, Bill, on behalf of the crew. I say welcome. And today's episode is a very special one. It's one of my favorite people. Yeah, today we get to speak with an advertising and communications maverick. Yeah, one of the youngest, hardest working men on the continent who've actually distinguished themselves as a leader, a corporate leader, leading an amazing brand which is transforming other brands as well through media and communications. If you're ready, please let me tell you a bit about this maverick, okay? Now, through his journey to become an expert in the marketing communications industry almost 2 decades ago, he also nurtured both business and entrepreneurial acumen that enabled him to manage and build other businesses in some of West African and East African countries thereabouts. Yeah, he holds an MBA in marketing from the University of Ghana, a bachelor's degree in economics and geography from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. He was the general manager of MediaCom, the first independent media agency in Ghana, delivering top of the class media and communication solutions to both local and global brands. He's actually the CEO of Dentsu Ghana, the group company for several Dentsu international agencies, including Karat, iProspect, and Dentsu Creative. He's also the president of the Advertising Association of Ghana. Mr. Andrew Ackah is my guest. And he's looking sharp. I mean, look at that. You should have a look at that.
You teach me. You teach me all the time.
I was going to pan down to see what a fashionista you are. Actually.
No, you teach me all the time, Lexis. Thank you so much.
Notes, bro. Good to see you. How you doing?
Thank you.
Man?
I'm good. It's been a tough year. I think that it's been a tough year.
Well, you don't look like it.
We don't have to look like our problems, but I mean the truth of the matter is that it's been a tough year, not just for our industry and our company in particular, but I think it's been tough on everyone. But again, you look at the spectrum and realize that we still have that, that goodwill to want to go for and to want to make things happen, to correct whatever has happened to our economy the past couple of years. So
let's be fair. Yours started well.
Yes.
Because in December, that's when you actually won the election to become the president of the Advertising Association of Ghana.
Yes. It started well. Like every year, you're hoping that it starts well.
Yeah.
For me, I was quite honored to be elected as the president of AAG, a very prestigious role that persons of very high repute have actually held that role before. Mansa Amwewa, my own godfather, Mr. T, I'm sure we get to speak about him, Togo Mensah, who partially made me who I am today. Mr. Joel Nete, Mrs. Nokodia, Mr. Gedilai, quite a number of the Professor Tim Hereford. It's such a privileged position, to behold, and I think that I was honored by the entire industry giving me this mandate to try and propel, the agenda of the association to try and make things happen.
A very elite and short list of great minds in advertising and media here in Ghana, and under very dramatic circumstances as well. Because I remember, I think you won by a vote, huh?
It was by 2 votes.
By 2 votes.
Yeah, but you see, national election is just 50+1. So I mean, it's to let you know that it's great to have competition everywhere. But that was not the essence of that. Of that, it could have gone anywhere, and I'm not particularly worried about where it could have gone. I think that the good thing is that we're still united, as an association, and we have quite a bit of work to do. And the good thing is that, I and my executives and the council still have the goodwill of the entire council and the entire industry to try and make some changes. There are really important changes that we want to make sure that we bring association to the level that we want it to be, or the level that it once were, and it will take quite a bit of time and people and teamwork to ensure that happens.
I mean, the good thing about it for me, actually, from where I sit, and I look into the future, is that you have enough experience to stomach the drama of national politics. So when you are ready to be president, please let us know. And I'm talking about president of
Okay,
Ghana.
you never say never, but to be honest with you, I'm not. I've never thought about politics, right?
Never?
Yeah, I've never thought about politics. It's
Why not?
this actually was the first time I got elected for anything, because I think that my own style of leadership is not really merited on election. I think that by the deeds of what I do and how I relate to people and the influence that I have on people, it allows me to grow with them and to become who I am. So election is really not being my thing, but you know the way we've all been conscientized to say not to be spectators. You never know when in the future we want to take some key mantle in the country to make our country good. You never say never. I know people who've sworn that they would never get into politics. It is not in my future spectrum right now, but you never say never because you never know.
When you decide to, actually, I know a lot of people who would vote for you, who actually would trust you. You do a good job.
No, you're flattering me, Lexis. You're actually flattering me, but it's good to know that you know people think of you highly that way.
I mean, you were on the council for the AAG for a little bit before you assumed the role of president.
Yes.
Has anything changed? I mean, is it still familiar territory, or as president
still,
it's quite different?
You know, I think that the wisdom of the past presidents and those who actually started this association, they knew what was going to come. That eventually, you know, their time would come and they would, they would move off the screen. So they started encouraging some of the young MDs and CEOs to take on positions on the council. And for us, it's a learning period. For us to, for us to begin to understand the workings of that, because it's a full, parliamentary system. Like where you go, there's a board, there's a chairman. You have to go through the process. You need to review minutes. You need to look at what is currently happening. So you learn all those processes. It wasn't so difficult because most of us were in that position. All the young ones that came into in that position, and I think that. We were taught that we needed to make change, and I think that maybe it's going to start with me, where we literally change the face of the association. It's going to take a bit of time. Yeah. It's going to take people. It's going to take resources. But we started. We had our first strategic meeting a couple of months after the investiture, and we had some amazing input which we are putting into play. We want to refresh the entire association. New branding, new logo. New meaning, and try and get young people, try and get a lot more people to join the association. It would take some time, but I think that I personally have the support of my executives and the council members who've been fantastic and supportive of this, and the executive director for the association also supporting to make sure that we fulfill the mandate that have been placed on our shoulders.
A bit later, we need to talk about the kind of change that you want to see in the association and the kind of things that you envision will happen in the next couple of years. But let's talk about your role as well as CEO of the Dentsu Group. I mean, that's also a very big portfolio. Sometimes I wonder how you're able to juggle all of these. How is it doing? I mean,
so the AGs are non-paid for, right? But this is where I actually break my bread. But again, that's what society is about. You get paid from one area and use your energy to help another area that you're not being paid for. But being a CEO for Dentsu I think I'm in my 8th year since. 8th year, yes. Wow. Since Dentsu acquired 2 of our local businesses and turned them into part of their global group. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. That's what I would say. And I thought sometimes because I had been at that position as a GM of MediaCom for about 7-8 years, and I thought I had seen it all. Until until Dentsu entered the market and purchased our business and showed us what we had been improvising previously, which meant we had new systems which was global standards. We had data tools. We had platforms. It changed. The moment I saw this, like, why didn't I have this 15 years ago? I would have creamed the entire country. Like, just joking. But it was quite refreshing. And I think that it inspired, the rest of my team, because now you had the tools, you couldn't complain. The difficulty with local businesses is that because you do not have these global platforms, you lack in a lot of ways, especially data, tools to build the strategies and all of that. They're quite difficult to build them yourselves. But if you belong to a global business, you have access. And I think that that's what stimulated the interest and made my team, you know, really hungry to go out there and win businesses, because now they had the tools, they didn't have the excuse, they had the right leadership, we had the right support from our global team. Amazing, I'm being honest with you. I've been an affiliate in the past where we had such support, but this, I can tell you, it's unbelievable, the kind of support that we get from our global team, you know, to make us run. So it's just that, you know, that whole process just made it exciting to still continue to be this. Because after 20 years, sometimes I feel like, you know, am I a government worker? Do I still want to be doing this? I'm still waiting for the grade to sprout. But, you know, it feels like a long time. But again, it also feels very refreshing because you get to work with younger people, smarter brains, smarter ideas. And my job really is to help them throughout their own journey, while we still fulfill our obligations to the company.
And I gotta be telling you, if you're gonna do this for 8 years, then you are really enjoying it, obviously.
It's fun. It's fun. I'm competitive. I'm quite ambitious. The company is competitive, quite ambitious, and I think that everyone who is in Dentsu Ghana has similar tendencies. Because what we do not like is when you tell us that we can't do something. And I think that we've literally, when Dentsu bought the business in 2015, we've literally quadrupled our business in terms of size, in terms of people. We're like 45, we're over 105, 110 right now. We've added extra businesses to our portfolio. We didn't have a creative business, now we have a creative business. You know, we have other platforms, you know, location services and all of that to the whole advertising portfolio. So it's quite an interesting journey. I don't feel like I'm getting bored, and I don't want to be bored, because the future looks quite exciting.
That's great. Well, let's get to meet you exactly, and get through your journey to this office, actually.
Yes.
Where did it start from? Where are you from? Andrew Ackah.
Oh, where am I from?
Yes.
That's a very, very long ask. Like, I don't know where to start. Okay, so maybe you want me to start from family, right?
Yes. I want to know where
you're
from.
I was born in Dunkofen. My mother, Mrs. Marian Ackah, my beloved mom, was working there as an agric officer, statistician.
Okay.
And that's where, you know, she met my dad. My dad was a headmaster and a teacher and headmaster then. So I think that they met in, you know, he came to to Dunkwao Secondary School, you know, and then that's where they met. All of us, my 4 siblings from my mom's side, were all born there. My 3 siblings, including me, were born in Dunkwao. Then my father was transferred to be the assistant director of education in Second D. So we relocated to Second D. I think I was just 1 year old or something.
Oh.
So I technically grew up in Second D.
Okay.
And it was quite interesting because I had 12 other siblings. Yes, from my father's side. My father was a very interesting, you know, lovable person. So we had, and our home was quite fun.
You lived with all of them?
At some point in time, I think only 2 of them that we didn't live with, but at some point in time we lived with everyone at different points in time. So our house was always full of siblings, and you know how it is, like you tease, and there wasn't much rivalry. You know, there's a lot of, you could sense a bit here and there. Obviously, you find the rivalry from different mothers and all of that. But I think that our home was such a melting pot for us, the kids, because we had a lot of time to, you know, to have fun and to joke and tease each other. And, you know, we government workers, I mean, we were an elite, you know, we went by just like any average Ghanaian home, but I think we had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun. Attended Services Primary, Takrady, which is a service primary school. You know, met amazing people, incredible people. I'm still on their platform.
Okay.
Yes, and
even though I don't know,
yes, even though I don't know most of them, those that I met there, I mean, we still keep in touch and, you know, have interesting conversation on the platform. Then to Cape Coast, where my father was made the regional director of education in 1990.
Okay.
So attended University Primary. So we moved from Second D to Cape Coast.
You are getting closer to Accra now.
Yes, I was getting close, to Cape Coast. Finished University Primary, did University JSS, and then attended St. Augustine's College. Initially I wanted to pick some other school. My father was like, you would have to go to St. Augustine's.
Right?
No, nah. I would have loved to, because some of my friends were going to. For me, my thinking is that, look, all good schools are good schools, but St. Augustine's College was quite. I'm happy that I chose a school. I think that it shaped not just our motto, Omnia Vincit Labor, which means that perseverance conquers all, but it's just the fact that the school just grew on you, right? And it opens your eye to too many things, good things, bad things, all in between, and you needed to navigate it as a young person with your own intelligence and hopefully, some favor from God to help you to navigate through, because you're going to be exposed to everything.
Absolutely.
So,
as a young person, what were your interests? What career path did you want to chart?
I actually, we all started with the same thing. I want to be a doctor, a nurse, and I remember my father was the regional director of education, and I was in science. I went to my father's office and I said, he was the Ogwara of the education office, and I told my father that I couldn't do science. I wanted to do economics, geography, and maths. And it was one of the first time I felt my father like really calm, and he said that, but you are the one that I want to be the family doctor. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, but in my head, I'm like, why do you ambition something that I have no idea? Because I didn't like chemistry. And I didn't understand why you put two, chemicals together and they have a different numbers and letters and all of that. So I love science, but I didn't really appreciate it.
Didn't inquire why he chose you to be the family doctor?
I don't know. He never expressed that with me. And these are some of the things that, for me, with my kids, I really want to get to understand who they want to become. But back in the day, your parents actually envisioned these for you without your consent. And so, but he didn't. I went ahead and I changed to economics, geography, and mathematics.
You did?
Yeah, and I made sure that he didn't see the report cards for about three terms. And the day he saw it, he got really furious.
How does that work?
I had
school to study science.
Yes.
You changed to economics, geography.
Yeah, he didn't know.
And he didn't know about it.
Yeah, he didn't know about it because he still wanted me. He actually sacked me from his office that I'm going to do science. So I got back and I said no, and I think that was the first time I actually realized that I had the will to do something. And I really didn't. You wouldn't go against my father, but for the first time I felt like this was me and my choice. So I made it, and he didn't know. By the time he got to know I had made the changes, I said, sorry, I can't do anything about it. He didn't get angry, but I think that he got disappointed.
I'm just curious as to how come for 3 terms he didn't know this was going on.
Because I found a way of not making him get the term report.
So it's not being a rebel. You actually
it wasn't being a rebel. It's just finding ways around your situation, if I would say so.
But I'm impressed that even at that young age, you were still very aware of the things that you wanted to do.
Yes, St. Augustine's College would make you aware from day one. If you're not too certain, or if you're not strong-willed, the school would just break you down. Because you enter the school and you see very elite people. You look at your trainers, you look at others, you realize that you do not belong, right? You look at what people are wearing, you look at how they speak, you look at the food in their chopbox, you look at their clothing. If you're not strong-willed, you'd be like, okay, so I don't belong here, and I belong somewhere else. So it's easy for you to be intimidated by the school and the people, But I don't know. I always had this.
Is it classist?
It wasn't classist, but you know your level. That's what it is, and people roll by the levels, right? But yet you have those who could cut through, the whole school system, and it wasn't there. It's just that you see it, you feel it, right? And the people that you wanted to belong, but you couldn't go close to them because you have no relationship with them, and you put them this at this level. But I think that inherently, I always knew who I thought I was, or I knew who I was. Let me say that bluntly. So I could fit anywhere.
But this system doesn't it put undue pressure on the students?
It does. It does. To be honest with you, it does. We all did some sort of crazy stuff just because we wanted to be known and to be seen, to be part of a certain class.
To belong.
Yeah, to belong. It's just.
Do you remember one of the things you did?
Yeah, we played basketball and we visited schools and yeah, all of that. So
I don't know. You keep saying you know, but I don't know.
Lexis, no, I'm just saying like you try, like me, like really actually, going to my mom and literally like begging her to give me money to buy trainers so that I will feel good.
Yeah.
The kind of trainers that will make me feel good,
Yeah.
Because my initial ones weren't good, so I had to really figure out how to go about all of these things, and so it puts a lot of pressure on you, right? And for me, I don't want that pressure to be on my kids, and so whatever it is that they think they need to make them feel comfortable, they need to have it because it can break you, and it can make you feel a certain repulsion towards your parents because they are unable to provide you the kind of stuff that you want. But I came from a place where we had very little, right? And that meant that, or we had what we had. And so it wasn't a big deal for me, just that I needed to feel like at least I'm moving. I'm getting to, I'm moving, I'm getting to one step to the other.
Yeah.
It wasn't too much pressure because I knew who I was.
Yeah.
So after Augustine's...
It's quite a very interesting topic we're talking about here because I've had, some parents talk about it, or even some young people talk about this kind of pressures in school and how they need to fit in, and so they do all sorts of things to want to fit in and whatnot. I don't know how that can be averted, how we can make kids, belong and believe in themselves.
Yeah, so it's a blend of the two. I mean, who was I to go and stand on stage and rap or sing patois? I mean, I'm not a music connoisseur, but people were rapping. I had to go write some lyrics and go stand on stage and make a fool of myself. But I also think that it gives you that space for you to explore what your talent is,
right,
and what you can do and what you can say and who you become, because that is the beginning of the shaping of your person. Your person is inside of you. The people, the school, the environment would help you to shape and groom you. And I think I got the best from St. Augustine's College. I got the best of friends. I had the best of situation. We joked about a lot of stuff. The bond was quite incredible. And that's the biggest thing that I take from St. Augustine's College, and that's why anything else that matters in school, I want to put my energy in there because it groomed me pretty well.
So now you decide on economics, geography, and what again?
And mathematics. Then our results. So we write for SSE, and I knew I'd done pretty well in all the subjects except mathematics because I messed up. Right, we didn't have a teacher. I think the last 2 terms or something. So we got somebody to come in, and we didn't cover a lot of the stuff.
Are you making excuses?
I'm not making excuses. I just didn't. I didn't see top. That's it, bluntly. So during the final exam, in fact, it's the only exam that still haunts me today.
Yes.
I still dream about that exam because the only exam that I pray to God, don't let me get F.
Wow.
Because I've never had F in my life before. Please give me an E. And guess what? When the results came, I had A, B, C, A, B, E.
Oh.
Right, and the E was elective mathematics. Meanwhile, I had A in core mathematics.
I see.
So people get furious. But the thing is that on the other side, I did pretty well. This one I messed up. I take the responsibility. So tech, I was hoping to read architecture, building. It didn't happen. So I read economics, geography, and maths there. And for me, that was the beginning of who I wanted to become eventually. First 2 terms, we were like five of us in first class situation. Okay. 7 actually. And then the professor Bo called us to his office. It was the provost. Was it provost? It was Dr. Bo then. Called us to his office and like, okay, you guys, we can, groom and shape you to end with first class. And so like, I didn't come to tech to get first class. And all my colleagues were shocked. Like, why? I'm like, I've learned 2 years to copy notes and replicate notes and share. I'm going to use the next 2 years to express myself. And I told all my colleagues that I'm going to debate, I'm going to challenge the lecturers. And so I did that throughout, there's some courses you can't debate much.
Yeah.
Economic principle is economic principle.
Yeah.
You can't debate that. But subject like geography and all of that, even development economics, I could check. So my whole thing was challenge and make sure that you truly understand what these subjects were. And I think that I didn't get the first class, of course, I wasn't looking for it, but I think that leaving that, that university actually made me know who I truly was and who I could be and how I could influence situations and people going forward.
Your journey is actually quite like mine, because I also did economics, geography, in Persec, and I also went to KNUST.
Okay.
I did geography as well.
Okay, great.
And sociology. And just like you rightly said, it's a place where you get to nurture your being and get to know who you are and the path that you want to chart. So it's interesting that you figured that out from there. Even though you didn't get your architecture, you were able to get through your economics and whatnot.
Yes.
And then afterwards, you wanted to do what?
So after that, I've told this story again and again. But anytime I tell it, it sounds quite surreal, right? So I was a teaching assistant after uni, right? After KNUST, so I was lecturing in economics.
You did good work.
Yes, I wasn't bad in academics at all. I was there. It's just that, you look at your lectures and you look at your lifestyle, and in my head, I'm like, I can go to school and replicate these notes. I can learn theory. These are things, because I built certain structures in my head that I can make things. I can structure things in my head. So replicating a theory is not a big deal. Writing, those things were not. I wasn't worried about them. Reading and learning was not a big deal. Cracking an answer to something was not a big deal for me. But I looked at the entire spectrum, and I was like, bro, I think you have so much inside of you than to go and replicate what somebody has written, right? Why don't you write that book yourself? Why don't you do something with your life that later you can replicate and let people know this actually is, right? So my professor, all my friends, went to London, PhD and all of that, had visas. My professor, are you not going anywhere? I'm like, nah. Because I had overheard him talk about, having a conversation, this thing like an epiphany, like, why am I really doing this job? All these kids that I taught, look at them now, look at the cars you're putting. And I'm like, Prof, I'm sorry, but I could get back to academia, but I'm sorry, but I need to go to the real world, because I loved, the reason why I challenged my lecturers in class was because I needed to understand the practicality of the theory that was being taught. I needed to understand that. So I like practical stuff. So I needed to be in the real world to understand what all of this meant. Before I could, but eventually I may end up in the classroom, but I think it was, so that was that. Then enter the real world, I get my first shock. 6 months down the line, no work. I mean, I would wear my tie, my shirt, black trousers, polish my shoe, take a lot of employment letters and run through banks. And I mean, they wouldn't look at me. And I started, that was the first blow. I'm like, wow, bro, you are not who you think you are, right? And but I pursued, and I had very strong friends who actually encouraged me. They would make me come sit in their offices so I could while away the time. Then I chanced upon this job. My big sister Sylvia, amazing person, incredible person, Sylvia Tuachampo. Actually introduced me to this job at MediaCom, because she used to work there before she transitioned. And so I went there like a joke, right? And all of a sudden everything started like shaping up. I'm like, okay, so this is the architecture I wanted to do, because I like things in a structured way. Okay, so this is how consumers think. Okay, you've read that partly in economics, right? You've read that in geography. So this is how market works. Okay, geography. So all of a sudden, everything that I had learned, and I love numbers too. Excel sheets. So media, if you look at the media plan, so when you apply this kind, so all of a sudden, everything I had learned was coming together. And the day everything looked like them, like, I'm going to stay here for good, right? Because for the first time in my life, I realized that everything I had learned and everything I am about to do were actually in perfect sync. And the only person that was going to stand in between was me. So then I started reading books on marketing, because marketing is quite different, even though I would say that it's a baby brother of, or younger brother of economics, right? But it's also quite, so I had to read marketing. That's why I did my MBA in marketing, so that I could catch up with the theories of marketing and ensure that I get to a level where I could produce the kind of value that my clients were looking for, and I could also, build this sort of character, of leadership that I can draw my team along and make sure that we are doing amazing stuff for our clients.
What's the biggest lesson you learned in the beginning that you probably carried on within this 20 years?
I think that coming back, so I started working, I think 2004, 2005, it's Christmas in there. And I left for personal reasons. And
you left Mediacom?
Yeah, I left Mediacom for personal reasons. And Mr. Togbo Mensah brought me back in 2000. I left 2007. He brought me back after 8 months. And he said, you're going to be the general manager of the company. Can you imagine? This is just 3 years of my working.
This is 3 years of working?
3 years, yes, just 3 years of working.
Wait, when you left, did you go and work somewhere else?
Yes, I was working with Nia Mensah. His agency was called Creative Hub. Now Mindful, an amazing brother who
Should I
taught
hazard a
me.
guess? Did you get a very big paycheck from Creative Hub?
No. Funny, it wasn't. I mean,
I know you mentioned personal reasons, but I'm
just, no, it wasn't. I
needed
to leave because I can't be in an environment which I find to be toxic. I can't work like that. Everyone who's around me knows that I can't deal with toxic people. I can't deal with environment which is toxic. So something happened that I had to leave for very personal reasons, and there was no turning back. It wasn't because of money or whatever. But Nee made a pitch.
Human relations
yeah,
issue?
it was a human relations issue.
I want us to stay there for a little bit, not because I want to pry, but there's so many people who are listening to us right now, or probably watching us right now, who probably are working in a very toxic environment.
Yes.
Who maybe, like the situation you found yourself in, they want to leave. They just want to exit that toxic environment for their own sanity. What would you tell them?
I would say that know who you are, know what you want. I would not compromise my person for anyone and for any environment. And so is the claim that I put on the people I work with. If I am toxic, please leave the business or let me know, talk to me about it, because that's not my intention. Now, you can live in a toxic environment, you become toxic, you won't grow. Your ambitions will be flattened, right? No one inspires you, but you're there for the paycheck. You're literally killing your aspirations, right? So if you need to find windows of talking about it. You have to explore all those windows of talking about it. Maybe someone is aware, maybe someone is not aware. You need to figure it out. But if it persists, and if you think that is sending you backwards, my honest opinion is that you leave.
In what forms do these toxicity come
as
well?
I think for me, it's not so much of disrespect. It could come in different forms in disrespect, but I think it's just the fact that respect means a lot to me, right? And because if I give my all, I give my all. I'm a drink deep rotational person. I wouldn't start if I don't want to do it, right? So in the same measure, I want you to, and I don't ask, I can tell you how many times I've negotiated for my salary, probably once, right? Because that's not what my interest is. My interest is in how can I create value so that I can get part of that value back rather than focusing on the little things. So those things are not that important to me and they wouldn't let me leave a business. But I think that when you touch my person, like when I give my all and I try and I find streaks of disrespect, if you don't recognize what I'm doing and you want to actually subjugate my person, you want to, break my pride, you want to break my, Lexis is not going to happen. No one in this world is going to make that happen. No one.
Right.
And everyone knows, from my mom, the people that I love in this world know that Andrew would put everything down for you, but you can't touch his pride. You can't. It's one thing that I won't allow it to happen.
How did you build this, or where did it come from?
I think it's a resilience. It's a resilience that comes through you. I've gone through quite a number of personal stuff. And I think that I've seen people go through stuff and don't make it. And I've seen people go through stuff and make it. Some actually in my family, some outside of my family. I used to be widely read, so I read quite a number of books before I got to uni, quite a lot, from spiritual books to self-help books to anything and everything, from your fiction, Robert Ludlum and whatever. And throughout all these things, you realize that the power is in you. God is in you, the power is in you, right? And so if you make that conviction, nothing around you can break you, right? And that because it is in you, you're able to influence people in the right way. If people are not worthy of being influenced by your person, you have every right to shake hands and use the exit, right? You don't need to belabor it. Not everyone is going to like you, not everyone is going to love you. You don't bend time to be loved because you know who you are, right? So when you get into those environments, you know exactly what to do. You try and make it work. If it doesn't, I'm shaking hands and I'm moving.
That's it. Wow, if you're just joining us, this is Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM, and of course Joy Prime as well, and we're spending time with the President of the Advertising Association of Ghana and also CEO of the Dentsu Group, Mr. Andrew Ackah. And boy, oh boy, I told you if you get I'm sure your notes are full right now. I have a whole chapter on dealing with toxic people and toxic environments, but I think that's a good one. Now, you left, came back, general manager.
Yeah.
After 3 years of leaving school.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
No, it wasn't nice. I remember I called my wife when Mr. Togbomefa called me to his office. And if you know Mr. T, you know Mr. T.
Yeah, of course.
Like, where are you? Come to my office. I have a job for you. I said, Mr. T, yes, I will do it. Okay. And then go and resign. Come. So we agreed on, whatever it was. And, I started working. And, I told my wife that, babe, are you sure I can do this? Because I don't know anything about finance. Not that I don't know, but how am I going? What is P&L? How am I going to read? And for me, that is one of the things that made me marry her. And that's why we're so close. We've been so close for a long time, and we are confident because she has an incredible belief in me as a person and what I could do. So she was like, "What are you talking about? You can walk to the president today and make him change his mind about something. Why do you think that you can run this company, right?" And I think from that, internally made me feel good because somebody else believed me at home. And that when I started having challenges, because I was young, mind you, I was young and running the largest media buying agency. I mean, with Diageo and all these big clients, NTN back in the day. It was huge, and you would have a lot of challenges, and boy, it's a lot of challenge that you'll be facing with all these big guns. I'm talking about someone that you started working, and he was a director, and now you're a GM, so you're supposed to, speak to him at the same level. It's a challenge. You need to find your way to maneuver that, and I think that what Mr. T told me one day, because I had a problem, one day I was quite unhappy. And he looked at me and solved the problem and said, "You know what? Even if you do not want to succeed, I will make you succeed.
Wow.
So go back to the office and continue working." And I think that, and he promised me that I will make you succeed. And I think that is what kept my back straight all these years. Yeah. And he's one person that I talk fondly about because he's the one that in business truly believed in me, truly appreciated what I was doing, and actually I allowed myself for him to nurture me and mold me to become the leader that I was, right? In a different way, right? He knew I was different, but I walked his path, understood what he was about, and it's been amazing. I do miss him sometimes because his office is just a few blocks from here. I'll go and sit and say, "Mr. T, let's have a chat." So wherever he is, anytime I pray, I'm like, "Mr. T, may your soul rest in peace. And if there's any value that you can give me up there, just throw it downstairs. I'm ready to receive it."
I see how you're very consistent on mentioning the challenges you had to surmount.
Yeah.
If you look back, what probably would you say has been the biggest challenge of your career?
So let me tell you where the transition started and who really pushed me to the limit. And that person is Honorable George Anda, former Minister of Communication. George was a stalwart in our industry, incredible person, and you could never, he was a marketing director at Diageo, at Guinness. At Diageo, okay. No, before that, I think that he had a position before that, and you could never go to George unprepared. And when George gets you, he's going to shred you into pieces, not because of your person, but because he wanted the best out of everyone. Anyone who's worked with George You know, we met. We have the old George associate, those that he worked with us. Like, you know, maybe we need to do a documentary about you know, George. I think he was phenomenal. He pushed everyone, and for him, the thing was that be excellent, be good, and be great at what you do. So George will not look at 98 and say, it will be like, why didn't you get 100? Not because he thinks 98 wasn't good, but just because he wanted you to.
Yeah.
So I think George pushed that challenge, and I took on that challenge, and I threw that challenge back to him, which was rare because, you know, you would always take his challenge and not, but I took it to him. And I don't know why I did that, you know, but I think that he respected the fact that, you know, I had the energy to want to do that. And because of that, I learned quite a bit from him. So he actually, you kind of need a day, like really stand on your merit and defend what you have, even if it's not that great. It's him who did that. Then I think that the nature of the business also allowed me to navigate around people. Okay. I've met some really tough people, highly political people. If I say political, I'm talking about corporate politics. You need to navigate. Look, it's a rat race out there, right? In our industry. So it's a jungle. It's a jungle. It's a jungle. And look, it's the Maslow theory. If you're weak down there, you get eaten first. So so you need to figure out how to go through this. But what I've done all over these years, of course, there are people who might think that I step on their foot. I think it happens. You know, I shouldn't be 100% great in everyone's mind. But I think that what I personally have tried to do over the years is just to stay true to myself, right? And this is who I am, and I don't change, right? I am aggressive, and I want, you know, if I want some business, I want some business, and I go for it. If I lose gracefully. You know, I'm back, and I congratulate my opponents and say, you know, congratulations, you've done a great job, right? But I'm coming for you next 4 years, because that's the cycle of our industry. Yeah. I think that keeping true to yourself and not changing your character, you know, because, you know, of your status or your role is what has actually cemented my, you know, my persona, and maybe you might even say my little influence in the industry, just because I am who I am and I don't change.
Good stuff. Well, great stuff here on Personality Profile. I love it. So the industry itself has changed over the years. I mean, 20 years ago, we didn't have so much of new media and digital. It was mainly traditional. How has it changed from your perspective? How has your work itself changed?
It's changed considerably in a very short while. You know, when this whole digital transformation started a few years ago, in terms of, you know, the whole boosting of the whole social media, right? The proliferation of social platforms and all of that, from Facebook to the YouTubes to Google search engine and all of that. I think, you know, we're waiting for all the science behind all of these things to make sense before we catch on. And I think there's quite a lot of learning to be done, both on the side of the client and also on the side of the agencies. So we had to invest in training and understanding how this whole space works and all of that. But the consumers were actually on those platforms. So it took us a bit of time. And even clients were kind of skeptical. Do we put our money on social media? How are we going to manage all the negative backlash? So one of the most significant change is that we saw clients who didn't want to play in the whole digital space, that all of a sudden they were interested. So the testing with, you know, can you spend $500, $200 on social media? They thought social media was for free, right? But now we've grown to a point where they realize that a lot of, if you look at the statistics, majority of urban Ghanaians and Ghanaians as a whole are actually living on social media. And if you know the principles of media planning or advertising, you want to meet your consumers where they most congregate. And most of us are spending 4.5 hours a day scrolling through our phone. You might think it's a joke, but it is not, right? How many people sit 4 hours and watch TV straight? So a lot more people are spending their time on social media. And it's just because the mindset and the system and tech has changed. First, you're looking at somebody else's content that we're supposed to be the producer. So whether it's a television station or a radio station or an independent producer, now you can create your own content and people are interested. You're interested in other individuals' content. So we've gradually been sucked into this ecosystem where we're also creators of content, you know, and you can find a lot more comedy from ordinary people than comedians, right? So there's a lot of content that has been created. A lot of people are spending time on social media. There's been an amazing platform. TikTok is currently the #1 search engine.
It is
surpassing
huge.
Google, right? I'm talking just a couple of years ago. Nobody thought this was going to happen. So things have changed so much dramatically that a lot of people are spending time on there. So we see budget gradually shifting from traditional TV, radio, and press and out of home, which is billboards, going straight into digital. And this is going to continue for a while. So smart brands should now begin to figure out, how do we build our own, create our own branding system or ecosystem when it comes to digital, because that's where everyone is, and that's where brands are going to live for a long time.
And that has affected your business, because since Dentsu took over, now you have other businesses in the creative business, iProspect as well.
Yeah.
And you're heavy on digital as
well.
Yes. And how has that journey also been?
It's been growing pretty well. I mean, we have some amazing clients, to be honest with you, within the digital space. But again, we need to build. If you understand the whole big tech companies, whether it's Meta or Google or Apple, you still need to work with them from a global level to build other tech platform for you to enhance. Sometimes we have great ideas, but we can't do that because we're a small market. Yeah. So we can get Google to collaborate with us for us to create certain different things. So it's a learning process that we need to push on. But I think that it's clients are more receptive to digital plans and ideas because they can see the results immediately, and instantly people are buying stuff, especially if you have an e-commerce platform. So it's working, which means that all of our mindset would have to be shifting towards digital. But it's not just digital; it's the entire. You have your digital ecosystem, but you have a broader system, marketing, communication system that you need to let everyone fit in, and that's where our expertise come in. Yeah. Sometimes you think digital first, sometimes you don't. But whatever it is, you build a system that works for the client that will deliver the best value.
Good stuff. Now, as president of that Thighs Association of Ghana as well, you're hoping that you would make some changes.
Yes.
What changes are you looking to see?
I think the first thing is to ensure that we have a lot of our members, returning back to our fold. There's been a lot of interest in. As I'm speaking today, yesterday there was a meeting. We had about 30 members joining us. During a strategic meeting, we had, we had our own pillars and our plans, and I think that we're going gradually towards that. We needed to refresh the brand. We needed to, make sure that we have, we have it more like a new purpose, for our clients. It's a huge industry. I'm talking about $500 million. Industry, if not more than that. So it's something that must be revered, and I think that whatever happened in the past that made people disconnected is gradually coming back. So we want to take up back our old glory, from Gongo Awards and all of that, but it takes time to build that interest again. Yeah. And I think that is the path that we are on, and the entire council has given us a full support to be able to implement some of these things that will gradually get us, to the point.
Well, I would say good luck with that, and
thank you.
At least I know you're the man for the job, so it will definitely work out pretty well.
Thank you.
Now, as we wrap up, you've obviously had a very colorful life, a very interesting journey as well. What's the biggest lesson you say life has taught you?
Lesson or lessons.
Could be one.
Lessons, first I'll start with my family, right? Biggest lessons. Whew. Okay, so I start with my family first. I think that I always give a shout out to my wife every time, every day, just because she believed in me when a lot of people didn't, except my core family people. So shout out to people who can find that person who believes in you unconditionally. So Ivy, shout out, thumbs up, great job. And that is reciprocal. So you also believe and you try and support everything that she's about. I think the other lesson that is quite intriguing, but is very real, and people don't want to talk about it, is the fact that we're not going to stay here forever. We're on a journey. We will die someday. We do not have the time. And so whatever it is that we need to do, we need to do, right? And if I ask you, do you remember those who were living 200 years ago? Do you know who they are? They've been wiped, their memories wiped from the face of the earth. Yet we're here and we think that we are some people, we are nothing, we're just gonna go. 1,000 years ago, the richest man was not, you know, the richest person today. It wasn't Bezos or any of those guys. Where are they now? They're gone. So we're only here to do what we need to do, right? And so, you know, have fun. You know, don't take life too seriously. You're on a journey to go. You know, who wants to live forever? No one does. But have fun while going on this journey. Be true to yourself, and you know, just stay true to the things that you believe. And another lesson that also changed me is you know, I would say my kids, right? I mean, having kids just, you know, I thought parenting was easy, and now I realize how stubborn I was towards my mom and my father. My kids are also, you know, they're fun to be with. They're stubborn, of course.
How many are they?
Therefore, I have 2 girls and 2 boys.
Oh,
the first is in high school. Wow. The last will be 8, and they're amazing. I mean, for me, they're the reason why I do this, you know, every single day, because I think that they look up to me. They look up to their mom, you know, for inspiration, and I think they also mean a lot to me, and they've changed the way, you know, the way I look at life.
Okay. Yeah. What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, like I said, is not because I will die, because I'll die anyways. My biggest fear is the fact that I am unable to, it's the fear that I'm unable to explore all the things that will make me fulfill what God placed in my heart. And that fear, again, is the fear of failure that we try to break every single day.
Right.
Or the fear of contentment, like, is this what I'm going to do the rest of my life? What if God wanted me to do something big? And I feel so comfortable, and so I don't explore that. That is my only fear, because it would really irk me that I could do a lot more and I didn't, because I was so comfortable. Yeah.
What's your biggest regret?
My regret, I have little or no regrets about a lot of stuff, you know, because all the things that I've experienced, look, the personal stuff that you go through, the crazy stuff that you go through, the experiences that you go through. And Lexis, I've been on that journey. Like, if I say I've been burnt. I've gone through the mill. I've gone through the furnace, and I think that the biggest story is, and I take inspiration from the Bible, when it says that you walk on coal and your feet will not be scorched. You walk on serpents and you will not be bitten. What it signifies is that you go through them anyways, and I think that those things just grow me. They didn't change me.
Yeah.
They didn't make me, because I am who is inside, but they grew me. They make me a better person, right? And because of that, I regret less in life. Right. Trust me, anything that happens, I forget quickly, right? So that I can move on. Because this thing here, right? You know, in between my left breastplate doesn't have time to waste.
Yeah. To
ponder over negative things and just waste it all. I need to get it out. And so I say something, I want to say it, I'm off. I don't keep a lot of stuff here, because there's a lot of good things that this has to produce. Yeah. So why keep negative things in there?
The classic optimist, I call you. Mr. Andrew Ackah. Great
Thank you so much, Lexis. Appreciate it.
A very great conversation. I totally enjoyed it, and we've had a real good time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best at Dentsu, and of course at the Advertising Association of Ghana as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Lexis Bill, and this has been Personality Profile with the CEO of Dentsu Group, and of course the President of the Advertising Association of Ghana, Mr. Andrew Ackah. And you can actually look it up on our social media pages and digital platforms as well. You can check it out on Joy Prime. On behalf of my crew, I say thank you so much, and next week we'll come back with another great edition.